Eric Von Mason is cooking shit up. Eric Von Mason is cooking shit up.
What is going on, Heatwave? It's time again for the Heatwave Spotlight. This is episode number 8. We've done 8 of these already. And if you listen to the countdown music, that was EVM, the freshman. It was a pleasure to get to judge the last Tournament of Fire last Friday. And EVM always finds his way in that top spot. So look out if you're ever in any of those tournaments. He's the one to beat. He's always in the finals. All right, so today I have a very special guest for you. We work together for Carnival Cruise Lines on the Carnival Liberty, which is one of the ships that they have, and we were in a show together. And her name is Kendel Lester, and she was a singer in the show. I was a singer in the show. She looks exactly the same, and I'm like, look a lot older because that's just the way it is, right? But since that time, she has been in the music game. As not only an artist, as a producer, as mixing, mastering, doing all of those things. So let me just not waste any more time. Let me bring her on. Kendel Lester. How you doing?
Hi, good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's nice to have you too. So let's start. I want to take it back to 2000 and what was it, 6?
No,
7?
it was. I think it was like 9, 8 or 9.
Oh, was it 9?
Anyway,
okay.
It was a
All
long
right.
time ago. It was a long time ago. We were both much younger.
Awesome. So, so when we left, I think I was asking you, I was like, oh, are you going to do another ship or something like that? And you were like, I'm going to go to Chicago. And then the next thing I saw on Facebook was a young platform back then.
Right.
You were in a band doing Fox and
Yeah.
the Hounds, right? So
Yeah.
tell us about that. What happened after Carnival?
Yeah. So, well, I left Carnival because I wanted to do theater. I wanted to be on Broadway. And I quickly realized after I joined my first band called Candy Town, I was like, oh no, music. Like, I want to write music. I want to do music. I want to be in bands. And like that pulled me in. And so I started Fox and the Hounds, which was like the 7-piece kind of alt rock band that lasted for about like 7 years or so here in Chicago. We got to do some really cool stuff. We toured and, played some cool venues and stuff like that. Um, and yeah, I did that for about 7 years. I started a new project called Butcher and the Florist, maybe like 4 years ago, that like was more kind of alt pop, I won't say like EDM, but definitely electronic leaning. Mostly because I really wanted to just like explore new sounds, but also I kind of got into like wanting to put my music into like TV and stuff. So I wanted a more like commercial sound. Um, and so yeah, that led me more into like writing and like learning kind of how to produce. Was using good old GarageBand for a long time, making some demos on that, and eventually got into Pro Tools, and now I'm on Logic. But that was kind of like what first got my itch going for like writing music, and then eventually learning how to produce music.
Okay. Wow, that's a big story. So going back to Fox and the Hounds days, like who's
Yeah.
one of your favorite artists that you got to open for or play with or meet? Do you have any stories from that?
Um, she's not super big, but we got to open for Jessica Hernandez, which was cool. She's
Oh
kind of like
yeah.
alt pop. Yeah. And I mean, that was amazing because anytime you get to open for bigger artists, it was like a sold out show. So it was killer. The audience was there for it. My favorite event that we probably ever did was for what was called Claw, which was the Chicago League of Lady Arm Wrestling.
Okay.
Yes. It was like wrestling in that it was all like scripted and everybody had like crazy names and backstories, but it was all arm wrestling.
Okay.
And we were the halftime performers, and it was like the most epic show and event I think I've ever been a part of.
Did you arm wrestle anybody?
I didn't get to arm wrestle, and I was disappointed about that, but still had a good time.
Awesome. So, the butcher and the florist. Let's talk a little bit about that. It's you and your partner. I've always wanted to ask this question: which one of you is the butcher, and which one of you is the florist?
I'm the butcher. He's the florist.
I thought so. Awesome, cool. Who would you say are some of your influences? Like not only with the projects that you're doing now, but just growing up in general. Like who are some of the artists that you love?
Well, it's interesting because like so both my parents were Broadway performers, so that's a lot of what we listened to like growing up was like musical theater and like the Beatles. Like those are the two things my parents listened to. And so that's what I listened to a lot growing up. And it wasn't until I was older that I started listening to like anything else. Like I didn't discover Led Zeppelin until I was probably like 22, and I was like, "What's this? What's rock music?" And so when I first started Fox and the Hounds, actually a lot of it was influenced by like classic rock. Like I listened to everything by heart and was like, I need to write songs just like this. I want to belt my face off and sing like heart. And now because I'm in the sync world and like the music that they need is just I get calls every day for like different styles and different briefs. I feel like I have to know a little bit of everything. So I like try and keep current with, top trending, top 100 music, the really underground, more indie alt rock stuff. So I would say now I pretty much listen to everything I possibly can.
Gotcha. What would you say? So it's how hard is it to balance your life as an artist and your life as a sync producer or writer songwriter?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, now I would say sync producing takes up like 80% of my time, and artistry has fallen to this little 20%. It's almost like my artistry has become like an offshoot of the sync work I do. So
What, you want to make
it's definitely
money or
fallen by
something?
the wayside. I know. I'm just greedy, I guess. Trying to make a living over here.
No, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've delved into that a little bit myself. Like getting placed with a few libraries and things like that. Who do
Yeah.
you have a relationship with or work with the most, or where do you get your syncs, and how does all that happen?
I work with a few different libraries, some on an exclusive basis, some non-exclusively. I mean, there's like definitely a lot of avenues you can go down through for sync. You could do like more production music stuff, which is like writing cues or background tension stuff, which I do a lot of with like big house libraries like Lab Hits and Liquid Cinema. And then there's libraries that are more like artist focused, which is a lot of like the producing that I do for other people right now. Like Crucial Music does a lot of like non-exclusive placements. What Up Pitches, North Node are all great libraries. So I work with a lot of different people, and it really just depends on like what the kind, like the genre of music is, and kind of like what they need.
Right. Yeah. So let's jump right into it. Let's jump right into one of your songs. So let's see. Let me pull up. Give me 1 second. Still getting used to this platform here. I have 3. I have Butcher and the Florist featuring Glitter Money. I've got Cherry Cola Kiss, and I've got End of the World. Which one would you like to start with, and what kind of background would you like to give us on it?
We can start with End of the World, I guess. So this was actually kind of a cool story behind this song. I went to a sync conference in May of this year, and we were broken up into small groups. So it was like me as a producer with 2 songwriters, singer-songwriters, and they basically gave us 4 hours to go write, produce a song, and then come back and present it for a bunch of music supervisors.
Oh, jeez.
So you have no pressure or anything. So this is I should say after we presented, they then give us a week to like go home, do final production, final mixes, and like send it out for like, finalizing.
Right.
So this is after I got to work on it for a week, but yeah, this is a song that we wrote in 4 hours. It also, I think, sounds pretty close to the original that we recreated. So this is a very like cinematic song, which is like what I do a ton of work for right now, is like kind of trailer style stuff. This one isn't quite a trailer track. It's not that epic, but definitely it's like cinematic pop for sure.
Gotcha. All right. Maybe that you may have given us an idea for the next contest. Like put a clock on it and collab.
Yeah, clock on it. I love collabing with people. You get, I think, the best ideas come out. So yeah, anyway.
All right. Hey, what's up, Noah? Anybody in the chat, if you have any questions for Kendel or about breaking into, TV, sync music, any of that type of stuff, or if you're an artist and you have any questions, she'll be here to answer. But right now we're going to go into that song. And is this you singing the vocals or is it somebody else?
No, so this is Kendra Dantes singing, who's this amazing 18-year-old artist.
Yeah.
Who's going to have a bright future in front of her because she's so talented.
Awesome. Let's hear it. Let's do it.
Hello, from the end of the world. It's alright, we got time. In the end, it's so quiet. It's just you and me and the changing of tides. Watch the heavens collide. It's the ride of our lives. You're lovely. Ours. Come with me to steal the stars and paint the sky. Lovely, la 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 lovely. We are 2 fools rushing out. We got everything right now. We ain't ever coming down. La 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 la. We ain't ever coming down. rushing out. We got everything right now. We ain't never coming down, 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 down. We ain't never coming down, from the end of the world.
Wow. Okay. I've lots of questions. What's up,
Okay.
Pat? You wrote that in 4. I know this is the finished one, obviously, and you had
finished one,
time
yeah,
to like master and mix and exactly
yeah.
how you wanted it. But how many? Let's see. How did you divide the labor between people when it came to like? I know when I get a group of creative people, sometimes somebody likes to take control.
Yeah.
And and then like somebody likes to take too much control.
Sure.
So
Well, I am
how did all that
definitely
go?
the take control type of person. Well, so what helped is they set us up with like a few active briefs, which briefs are basically like specs that TV shows are working on. We need a song that sounds like this for this spot. So they wanted a song for a TV show that is like about two like anti-heroes sharing a moment before the world ends. So that's what we got. And they wanted something nostalgic. So basically me and 3 other people, we basically got together and like first figured out like what's the direction we're gonna go. Like postmodern jukebox is kind of what we decided on. I was like, okay, this is the vibe. And then we came up with some chords and I was like, I'm gonna work on production. You guys go figure out vocals and a melody. You know, we had like some little keyboards we could play on. But basically I was like, stay away from me. Just let me sit here and produce for like 2 hours just at my laptop in panic mode. And you guys write some lyrics. And then we kind of came back at the middle and things magically worked together. And we were able to, make a song happen.
Wow, that's crazy. Can I sample it and flip it and turn it into a hip hop beat?
Maybe it's
I won't release it anywhere.
You don't release it. Yeah. You can do that. It is the song is signed exclusively. That's why I was like, maybe not. But just as long as you don't release it, that's totally fine.
No, I won't. If it's signed exclusively, I won't even mess with that. Facebook will get you for that anyway. No one wants to know if that was in 3/4.
6/8, but yes.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. Well, that's awesome that not only like I think an individual could probably write a song that fast, but in a group setting, I feel like it's almost harder. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I think because we were in such a time crunch, everyone was like on their A game about it. Like understanding like the decisions had to be made quickly and like we couldn't argue about things and go back and forth. It was just like, nope, this is the decision. We're running with it. You do your thing, I'll do my thing. And like, we got to figure this out.
Awesome. Sweet. So let's talk. I always like to ask all producers or, producers or artists this question. Well, with you in particular, it would be like, let's say you get a brief.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to make one up. We need a happy pop song for kind of a beach party scene, right? Like maybe that's something like that. Are you the type of person that's like, do you sit at a piano, pluck out melodies first? Do you start with drums? Do you like, what's your process?
It is like different, honestly, all the time. First thing I do is go listen to references. I'm like, hopefully they sent me some, and if they don't, I'm gonna pull some and just like get myself into a vibe. Sometimes like lyrics will pop into my head right away and I get like a vocal melody and I'm like, okay, let me figure out the chords for this and write this chunk of the song that I know I have right now because I'm flowing with it. But if I'm just like, nothing's coming to me starting from scratch, I'll usually first try to come up with like a chord pattern or something first, get that laid down, and then I'll start with my beat first. Like, what's my groove going to be, and just like build up from that.
I gotcha. All right, cool. And you are a Logic Pro user.
Logic Pro.
Let's say, well, yeah, since most of the people in this platform are FL Studio, what are your favorite, like, in case we were thinking of switching DAWs, what are your favorite things about Logic Pro? What should we know about it?
I think it's very user friendly. Like it's like actually before Logic, I was on Pro Tools, and it took me a long time to learn Pro Tools, and I felt like migrating over to Logic was just easy. I was like, and not that Logic and Pro Tools are the same, just that Logic is just a user friendly platform to use. It all makes sense. The drummer feature on there is really cool. That like it basically comes up with a MIDI drum pattern for you. You can choose like different styles, different drummer personalities. I don't know if FL has something like that, but that's great for me who does not play the drums. It kind of helps me get a bass going, and then I can modify things from there. But I think that's super cool. And a lot of the built-in plugins are fantastic. Like if you're very new to producing, like you don't need to buy any plugins. The stock plugins are great.
Okay. All right. I use a when I get stuck for drum ideas, I use something from Splice, a VST called Beatmaker.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's similar. It sounds like it kind of in the similar vein where it kind of gives you some different kits and patterns to play with and manipulate and all of that. So that's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Let me ask this question. I always like to ask this question of everybody. Let's say somebody knocks on your door and they're like, hey, I'm a brand new producer. I don't know what I'm doing, but I really love music and I really want to get started. What would be your biggest piece of advice for me?
Oh man. I was like YouTube tutorials, so that's how I got started.
Nah.
I mean, tutorials are great. Biggest piece of advice is, just do it. Like get out of your own head and do it. Like I'm someone who like learns by doing, so I just have to jump in and make a lot of really bad songs and sounds and stuff, and be comfortable making mistakes, and then eventually you get better. Things start to sound good. But I think a lot of people are just afraid to even like try doing it because they know that they're going to suck at first, and we all suck at first, so just like get over that fear and jump in. I will say something that's like helped me is I take weekly lessons with a mixing engineer, and he critiques every single one of my songs, which has like helped me immensely. Just not only like to gain confidence to have someone sign off on my work and say, no, this is good, but you learn so much faster when you have a second set of ears telling you, oh, this doesn't sound right, and here's why, and here's how we make it sound better.
Is this somebody you're just friends with, or is it somebody that you pay? Like
I do pay him, yes.
Okay.
I like to think he's a friend too, but I give him money.
Well, yeah.
But his name's Carl Banner. I met him through the Make Pop music group, which I think you're a part of. I'm sure a lot of your peeps are. He did some production for me on some of my Butcher and Floor songs before I started self-producing. That's how I met him. And when I started really wanting to do this myself, I was like, I got to get better at mixing. Like that was definitely my weakness. So I was like, give me lessons, teach me how to do this. And it's been great. I've been taking lessons for a little over a year now, and I'd like to think I've made some vast improvements.
That's a great idea. We kind of, so what we do in this group is, we're all amateur engineers and we all try to help each other. But
that's great too, though.
Yeah, but to have an actual like professional that went to school for it and
right.
understands
like,
all the frequency ranges.
What he tells me, but I still just think having like a community like this, somewhere you can just like bounce ideas and get a second set of ears, because sometimes we just sit in our studios for so long, 8 hours working on a song, and you become like ear numb to what's going on.
Yeah,
so it's just so helpful to get a second or third or fourth set of ears.
All right. Well, you're welcome to come to any of our events.
Awesome.
Noah said, yeah, he started in GarageBand and then he used Logic, so he kind of followed your path a little bit.
Yeah.
Noah, are you in FL Studio now, or are you more Logic? We'll wait and see if he answers. But let's see. That's good advice. And I think, yeah, it is important. Like everybody does suck in the beginning. And like I know when I started, Noah's in FL Studio now.
Okay.
They all kind of, you can all use VST plugins. Oh, he does, and he uses Pro Tools as well.
Okay.
I'm assuming for vocals, probably to record the vocals. FL Studio is not known for, being the best at, to record vocals, but
Yeah.
I mean, you can.
Yeah.
I've done it before. I've done some singles. But anyway, like, I think it's important just to like, there's two traps you can fall in. The first trap is you try and try and try to make it sound the way you hear it in your head. And then you get really frustrated and you keep trying and trying. And like, there's a time to call it. There's a time to say, you know what? This one's done.
Yeah.
let me get the creative juices going instead of being so technical or trying to figure this out or that out. Let me just kind of put that one to the side and then get the creative juices flowing and get excited about another piece, right?
Yeah.
And then the other trap is you get so proficient at making them quickly, like making songs fast, that you forget to take your time and really pay attention to the detail and create moments.
Yeah.
Those are both traps I've fallen into. So I don't know. It just reminded me when you said everybody sucks in the beginning, it just kind of reminded me of maybe that piece of advice that might be good for someone.
Yeah, totally. I've definitely written songs and hated what I did. And they've just been sitting on my hard drive. And I, keep telling myself one day, I'm like, I'm going to go back to that now. I'm going to make it better. But it's really just going to sit there.
That's the toughest thing, to go back to something like, because you're not like, there's this spark of inspiration you get in the beginning.
Yeah.
And the world's full of people that begin things.
Oh yeah.
There's not a lot of people that go back in there and actually finish it. That's the hard part, I think, is like, because it sounds old to you, you're not as inspired to listen to it again. But maybe a group like a community, like you said, is a great place to like bring it back to life and say, hey, is this something I should revisit and finish and find out?
What I do a lot is like, some of my first productions weren't great, like good songwriting, okay production, really bad mixing. And what I've been waiting for now is like for the right brief to come along to make me go back and work on it. Like, oh, you need a song that sounds like that. I have it written. It just needs to be remixed again and repolished. So that's what I've been doing, because every once in a while something comes up and I'm like, oh, you know what? I have that song. I don't have to write something new from scratch. I just got to make it sound better.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Noah says he uses Pro Tools for recording guitar. So
gotcha.
Yeah. You have a pet or something?
I do. Yeah. I was like, we're just gonna let him in really fast because he's gonna
go let him in
and scratch at the door. Come on, Zeke. We just got a new dog a couple months ago.
Yeah.
From my husband is a general contractor, and he was at a job site, and this one was like, I don't want my dog anymore. You should take the dog home. He's like, what? He's like, I don't want it. And he's like, okay. So we took the dog and we now have another dog.
Oh, that's a little
very
sad.
Strange. It was sad, but he's in a good home now.
All right. What's his name?
Ziggy.
What's up, Ziggy?
What's up, Ziggy? What are you doing? Anyway, that's Ziggy.
All right. Well, let's hop back into the music here. So which one should I play next? So, either we got that money or we got Cherry Cola.
Okay, so Cherry Cola, you can do Cherry Cola next. So this is a song that is going to release on the 14th. So in about 10 days or so. This one we wrote for a brief that wanted a song that sounded like Olivia Rodrigo mixed with Charlotte Sands. So I partnered with one of my frequent collaborators, Kit Walters, for this one. So it's kind of like a pop punk-ish vibe.
All right. Live guitar?
Live guitar.
Who played the guitar?
My husband.
Nice. All right, let's hear it.
We have a full band between the two of us.
Nice. All right. Here we go. This one's called Cherry Cola Kiss, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go.
I can't help but stare at you. No questions, babe, can you come through? So handsome in the way you move. Gets me thinking about things I do. One thing keeps running through There's something about the way you look at me in the dark. Pulse racing, blood pumping out of my heart. Hands around my waist, baby, this is just the start. And I can't wait. Crave your candy coated lips, want that cherry coated kiss. Yeah, that moment full of bliss. Wanna taste it, missing you always. Want your lips kissing so sweet, want your hands all over me. Yeah, I crave it, need your lips. Cherry cola kiss. Tell me what's your gameplay. I'm ready now, don't make me wait. Clock ticking, no time to waste. Can't help but imagine the place. One thing keeps running through my mind. Where you look at me, it's only us in the dark. Pulse racing, blood pumping out of my heart. Hands around my waist, baby, this is just the start. Let's not wait. Crave your candy coated lips, want that cherry coated kiss. Yeah, that moment full of bliss. Wanna taste it, missing you always. Want your lips kissing so sweet, want your hands all over me. Yeah, I crave it. Come on, baby, yeah, let's take the risk. No stopping now, you're too gorgeous. We're in too deep, no common sense. Come on, baby, yeah, let's take the risk. No stopping now, you're too gorgeous. We're in too deep, no common sense. Crave your candy coated lips, want that cherry cola kiss. Yeah, that moment full of bliss. Wanna taste it, Lips kissing so sweet, want your hands all over me. Yeah, I crave it. Candy coated lips, cherry cola kiss. Moment full of bliss. Wanna taste it, candy coated lips, cherry cola kiss. Moment full of bliss. Yeah, I crave it. Need your lips, cherry cola kiss.
Woo. All right. Nice. You say it's going to be released when?
October 14th
As a single?
as a single. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Because I think you said there were somebody was looking for an Olivia Rodrigo, somebody else type of track. Who was looking for that? Who was asking for that?
So it was for like a brief that was sent through one of my agents for a TV show that was looking for songs. We didn't get it, unfortunately, but we still got a good song out of it.
Yeah. Awesome. Oh, EVM saying hey. Ian Hammonds, what's going on? What's going on, EVM? So I've a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Your mix is clean and incredible, and when I
Thank you.
record vocals, they're not that good.
I don't like that.
So no,
That's great.
the mix isn't that good. So I want to know. Let's say we have, for me, what's your best advice for mixing vocals?
I mean, good source to start. So a
Yeah.
decent mic with a decent room. I don't know how much you can see of my studio right here, but like I've got soundproofing up on the ceiling here with baffles. The wall in front of me is all soundproofing. That is my little vocal booth behind me with like that little blanket.
Oh yeah,
So I record in there. That's on my Neumann TLM 103. So like Kit, who you just heard, she's local, so we record here in my studio. I definitely work remotely with a lot of people, and just making sure that they get good source capture is like the first order of business.
Okay.
I also like to get a lot of layers, like you could hear in that song, especially like in that chorus, like it's really stacked up. So I mean, you guys already probably do this, but I always get of every harmony at least 2 layers that I pan left, pan right, maybe a double of the lead or anything like that. I mean, my processing I think is fairly minimal. I cut out all my garbage noise and a little bit of like saturation EQ, like coloring it, and then some compressing and stuff. I use pretty much decapitator on almost all of my vocals. I love to add just like a little bit of that crunch saturation in there.
Okay.
But I think like having good clean vocals from the start just like really helps the process.
So get a good Good recording first. That's the main
Yes,
thing
good
just to
recording
start with.
first with clean doubles that are like in tune with each other and in time with each other. I will say I hate to do vocals. It's my least favorite part of the production process is like
Mhm.
tuning and timing alignment. So I make sure that everybody I work with, I'm like, you better give me the most precise doubles ever because I don't want to work with them.
Uh-oh. Was my take okay that I sent you?
Yeah, no, yours is great.
Okay. Yeah, I have I don't have a treated room or anything, but I've got this I don't know if you can see it.
Oh
This
yeah, the
little
eyeball.
yeah, I got the Chaotica eyeball. So I do
Yeah,
that and then I place like foam padding behind my head
yeah,
to soak up that sound just to get like a decent sound, but
yeah. I mean that
uh
works, you know.
it does a trick.
Yeah,
Noah has a question for you.
yeah.
So how did you get started with producing for sync placements?
Well, so I kind of got into sync in like early 2020 with my artist project Butcher and the Florist. And I got connected with a few different agents and they started sending me briefs, which briefs usually have a turnaround time of anywhere between like 24 hours and like 2 weeks. So they basically need you to write, produce, send a song in. And I realized that if I like wanted to be serious about sync and pursue that as a career, that I didn't have the budget to be paying producers every time I needed a new song, and I didn't have the time for it. Like if I got 24 hours to make a song, like I've got to do it quick. So I was like, if I want to do this, I need to like learn how to do it all myself. So like right around like late 2020 was when I was like, let me buckle down in my studio and spend 8 hours a day in here and like figure out how to do this and do it well and do it right. So that's why I got into producing was for sync, writing for sync.
Yeah. Well, that totally makes sense. So basically, Butcher and the Florist kind of opened a door where you met people, and then they were
Yeah,
like, "Hey, we need content because we've got all these shows and things coming out." So
yeah,
that totally makes
exactly.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was like, well, let's do this. If I got this opportunity, I'm gonna take it.
Hey, that works. That
Yeah.
works. Yeah. I've submitted to a few libraries before, and I just
Hmm.
basically just emailed. Uh,
Yeah.
like I looked for ones that were kind of in my genre. I actually got hooked up with one called Crime Sonics, where you just
Okay.
do suspenseful detective
Yeah.
type music. You know, like we have a guy in our group named Prabhu.
Okay.
I don't know. We call him the problem. He is the master at cinematic music, and
Yeah.
I hope he watches this on the playback. I don't see him in the chat now, but I hope he watches this in the playback just to like inspire him to get on television if his music is not already there.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, I'd love to hear him stuff too, because people are always looking for that. So I can maybe connect him to a few people.
yeah, hey, there you go, Prabhu. If
Yeah.
you're watching, Kendall might be able to help you out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've definitely like told him the couple of libraries I work with. I've been like,
Yeah.
hey, you should send it here or there. So hopefully he gets inspired by this.
Yeah, because I mean, it can be a great path for producers who can work like really quickly. And if you don't mind, like perpetuity deals, which is where basically you're writing like an EP or an album for a library of whatever kind of cue music, like tension cues, or it could be like cinematic trailer stuff, and you're basically signing it with them. They'll take the publishing side of it, you keep your writer side, and they own the songs indefinitely. But a lot of them have deals with like Sony and APM Music, bigger chains, so your music kind of gets everywhere. And it's a great way to just have like that back end passive income coming in,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, we had another guest on here, Tim Bird, who he was a producer for the R&B group I was in, like way back in the
Oh
day,
yeah,
and
I remember
he
that.
does sync stuff now. And
Nice.
one thing that he mentioned was that like the reruns. The reruns are where you get all of your
Yeah.
money.
Yeah. Yes. If it's broadcast. What sucks right now is like there's a little bit of a like payout war going on with streaming services because they're not paying as much as like broadcast does, even though people are watching it way more. Like the payout's not the same. So
Right.
there is like this little kind of like fight going on right now over like what streaming services are paying and like what constitutes like reruns, like that's not really a thing on a streaming service. So like how is that going to work for people?
Oh
You
yeah,
know?
that's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
But broadcast still pays well. And yes, those my husband actually he used to write for the Oprah Winfrey show and he still gets checks in the mail all the time from the Oxygen Network because they're just like reusing his stuff and replaying episodes.
Yeah, yeah, and A copyright lasts 70, I think in the US it's 75 years after you're
Right.
dead.
Yeah,
So
so
your family,
right,
like
yeah.
whoever you leave it to would even get
Yeah.
money for that. All right. Well, cool. Let's see. Let me see if there's anything any questions that you have in the live, feel free to ask. Kendel is an open book and will answer almost anything that you ask. I don't want to say anything. Oh, Tommee Proffitt. We haven't talked about the Tommee Proffitt remix
yeah.
contest.
Yeah.
What was that? How did it go? And what were the results?
I won it. That was the result. So if you don't know Tommee Proffitt, he is a big producer in the world of sync and cinematic music. He's also the producer for the rapper NF. And he's been like one of my idols for a very long time. And probably about a year ago now, in 2021, he did a remix contest, which was really cool because he put up on his website like all the stems to like maybe 10 different songs. So that was like a masterclass in itself to like actually get to see his stems and how they sounded and stuff. I felt like I learned so much just from that. So I picked a song of his called Tragic, which is like this very slow atmospheric ballad. And I redid it in a like synthwave 80s style. And I was shocked when he called my name as the winner. But I won, and he released it as part of his EP project. And then I ended up doing a second remix for him for a song called My Domain, that he also released with that same project. And it was definitely like been the highlight of my producing career so far to get to kind of work with him.
No, that's amazing. That is so cool.
Yeah.
And I've heard it. I know you didn't send it in, but I don't think we could play it anyway because probably we would get a ding from Facebook.
That's what I figured. Yeah. But if you go to Tommee Proffitt, it's up there. If you look at my page, Kendel Lester, it's definitely like the most streamed thing on my channel, so you'll see it right away.
Okay, here I'm gonna put your there you go, KendelLester.com, and it'll be there.
On Spotify.
On
So I don't know if I
Spotify.
sent you my Spotify link or not.
You did. It's in the description. So
Okay,
all
cool.
the 3 links you sent me are in the description. Cool. So yeah, go check that out. That's awesome. Well, let's bring on the last song. I don't want to take too much of your time here. So
cool.
The
well,
last
this one is my version of hip hop. So I figured you guys are all kind of hip hop heads. So it's kind of a Latin inspired hip hop track that was done in collaboration with a local hip hop group called Glitter Money. They're out in LA right now. But yeah.
All right, Glitter Money. It's all about that money. Let's play it.
Got me feeling so bossy, got me feeling like hey, got me looking so glossy, cause I'm about to get paid. Driving out that automatic, looking like a whole fantastic. Why you acting so dramatic? I'm just out here spending plastic. Got money, got glamour, got all that bling bling. I got that money, you want that money. I got that money, I got that money. I got that money, I got that money. I got that, I got that, I got that, I got that. I got that money. I got that money. They wanna beat me, because I got that money. They got me like ooh, ow. They got me like ooh, ow. Because I got that money.
Oh,
Oh.
it stopped suddenly on me.
That's all
Sorry
you
about
get.
that. She seems materialistic. No, that was cool. Was it, I like it like that? Was there a sample in there or
No,
replayed
just
or?
it definitely has a very similar vibe, but it is not. I made sure that it is not the same riff for that very reason. As I was writing this, what does this remind me of? I had to like look up the song, and I was like, okay, it's different.
It's definitely, that song is like if a song was Miami, that
Yeah,
is it.
yeah.
Yeah, that is Miami all day. That is
Yeah,
amazing.
I
All
definitely
right.
wrote that with like reality shows in mind,
Oh yeah, no, that's perfect. That's perfect.
right?
All right. Well, I don't see any other questions in the chat right now. Um, I think maybe one other question I would like to ask is we have a couple of female producers in our group. We have Deandra, Ashley, just to name a couple, Drip. Any advice you would give to just a female in the industry that, any challenges that you might face?
Honestly, I've found the world of producing to be a very welcoming space. I was afraid of becoming a producer because it is a very male dominated industry. And once I got in it, and I think there's such a fear for women, especially like calling themselves a producer. Like it took me so long to actually tell people, like, I'm a producer, I make music. That's like just getting over that fear is like the first hurdle. But since I've been here, it has been honestly a really welcoming community. I also get work really easily because women want to work with other women. So I've had so many female artists approach me being like, I've never gotten to work with a female producer before. I'm so excited to hire and work with you. So there's lots of opportunities out there, and the sync world especially, there's a ton of women in it, and there's a ton of women in power positions in it. So don't be afraid of it. Like people are kind, they want to help you, and my experience has been nothing but positive.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give a breakdown of some of the events we have here at Heatwave Spotlight. Just give me 1 second here, just in case there's somebody watching who is new to Heatwave or hasn't joined Heatwave yet or wants to know what Heatwave is. Basically, like we were talking about earlier, we're a community, right? We're a community for artists. We support each other. We might give constructive criticism, but it's all coming from a place to, help people be better. We have live events, and we would love as many people as possible to join these live events. Don't be afraid that, like Kendel and I were talking about earlier, if you're like, I'm just starting out and this doesn't really sound great yet, send it in anyway, and we'll help you make it sound great. So every Friday night, we have the producer hotspot at 9 p.m. Eastern time. It's hosted by Pat Carney. You want to send your beats to Heatwave Submissions. I'm going to put that up real quick. Heatwavesubmissions@gmail.com. Send in your beats with no tag. So this is a beat only show, so it's for producers. Send it in with no producer tags. That way we actually vote on them from 1 to 10. 10 being the best, 1 being trash. And if you don't send your tag, then we don't know who made it. So it's more of a unbiased opinion, right? And then the winner of that actually can walk away with some money. We always started off with a certain amount of money given by the admins. I think it's like $25 to start with, and then other members will start adding to it. We've had it up as high as $141. So just for coming and submitting your beat, you could walk away with money, and it's always free to enter. We also have, and then we just had the Tournament of Fire last Friday, which was crazy. I don't know what the total amount was. I think it was 300 and something for winning that. So if you happen to be a winner of a hotspot and then you get into the tournament and you end up winning that, S.Shadow with his amazing work knocked it out of the park, and he walked away with like $300, something like that. And every Saturday night we have Back to Back, which is hosted by Brainiac the Maniac or EVM the Freshman, depending on the night. And that is just a vibe where everybody hangs out, whether you're an artist or a producer or you play the ukulele, whatever it is. If you want to send it in, we want to listen to it. And it's called Back to Back because you can send 2 in and we'll play them, back to back. We also occasionally have challenges on that show where we might vote on something like the last one we had was like the space challenge, where we had beats that had sounds from outer space. kind of integrated in there. I think OG McNeil won that one. So join all of those. I'm going to include how to join all of that in the description of this. But Kendel, if you ever want to be, I'll have to ask Pat, and I'll have to clear this with Pat. But if you ever are interested in judging
For sure.
fire,
I'm great at judging people.
all right. We would love to have you back, and we'd love to have you back for another interview sometime.
Yeah, absolutely.
All
It'll be
right.
fun.
So, oh wait, I think Noah's going to send in a ukulele
And
beat.
you-
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Kendel. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. It's great to catch up.
All right. And we'll see you guys next time by the way of the wave.